March the 20th, 2026. Guys, you're looking at the energy futures, and these are current as of this morning. I'm looking at the clock, 12:36 p.m. Central Time. Brent is at 110. It's up $1.65 today. Oil, regular oil is 98.9 up 279. And Murban crude, remember that's the Saudi jet fuel that they have to have. It's super smooth, super clean. But anyway, it's up $15.62 a barrel to $139.69. A couple of days ago, Murban crude was at 101. When this conflict started, we were in the 60s numbers here. I think 61 for oil. And guys, this is going to relate, of course, to higher prices. The Murban crude, I think its big jump is because of the retaliation of Iran yesterday to Israel bombing their side of that SARS oil field in the Persian Gulf itself. And so when they did that, again, they're striking infrastructure that may take years to pull back into place. And you're seeing it here. It may reach 140 before long. But guys, these increases are unsustainable. And again, we have one of the people we have to think is whoever's controlling the IDF, because that was very unnecessary yesterday. It was, to be honest with you guys, the deeper I look into it, the more evil that I see that it was. Because obviously Israel doesn't care about the American soldiers involved. They don't care about the Christians in their nation. I have a report on that I hope does not get me kicked out. But we're talking about demonic entities in this war, guys. And many of them. And now many of the nations in Europe are saying they're going to participate. They're just not sure when. But if they do, then again, you're pulling in many nations into this area. We know what that means. Now, guys, they're saying that on this crude oil, this is a record high at 110.56. This is, again, March, or going back to May. Now, this is what's happened in the last 30 days, guys. And this is our oil. Let me pull it back up just a little to the top here. 110.60 now. Up $1.98. That's today, but we're looking up that it's up very much, man. When we started this, and we were in this area here, we were at 70, 75 at the low point, and then it was lower than that on regular barrels of oil. And this is a big change for the entire planet, and it's going to continue to hone us. I think, the reason the Israeli struck SAR was to keep the U.S. involved. They may have felt that there was enough U.S. pressure on Trump from many directions to clean this thing up and get out of there. And they didn't want to do that. They wanted to prolong it, and if not, do as much damage as they could to bring about a lot of trouble. Guys, it amazes me if I do a video talking about Israel and the fact that they're not for the U.S. and they don't like Christians. People really get upset about it. But if you do a deep dive into that, you'll see some amazing things. And I'm going to point out just a couple. The only reason I'm doing it now is because it is a sign of what's to come in this war. Because if you know the mentality of what they're doing and why and how evil it is, you know to be ready for anything. Now, check this chart out, guys. It's important, and there's reasons for what we're seeing. But if you look at it, it's called the demographic shift in key cities. Now, in Bethlehem, going back to the 1940s, and that's when, I think, 47, it was declared a nation, reestablished in 1948, though technically, but declared in 47, if I'm not mistaken. The Christian population of Bethlehem was 86%. Today, it's 12%. In Jerusalem, in 1945, the Christian population was 19%. Now it is 1.5%. What is 19% overall in Israel are the Muslims. Now, the Jews have, of course, the majority. In Ramallah, And they're looking around because the Christians are scattered. They were the majority in Ramallah in 1948. Now they're the minority, less than 25%. And guys, there's a reason. Did you realize the Christians are being pushed into the outer sections of the West Bank, even into Gaza, and moved north and into the most dangerous areas where they're not protected on purpose? Because the Jews hate the Christians who kill Christ. That's still going on. That same spirit over that area is still going on to this day. And there's a lot more information. I'll show you a couple things here, and it's interesting because you've got so many Christians here that will send money there and all, saying it's the Christian thing to do. But in the study that I found, I'm not going to go into it very deeply, what I found was that in the video yesterday about the gold and things like that, we talked about a marketing campaign, guys, and it was like an affinity program to where if, say, a preacher had a large group that watched him, and if he presented a certain project or a certain product, let's say, then this congregation would trust the product because he recommended it, and which is a wolf in sheep's clothing, especially if it's something very expensive like losing your savings. But now Israel has the same marketing technique. In other words, through that affirmity. In other words, the Christians here, the way they get money and support is they say, well, you're supporting the Christians here. But they hate the Christians there. I'll show you. And so they're using that same technique to, again, wolf in sheep's clothing. Send us your money, send us your troops, send us your weapons, because we are protecting the Christians, when they're doing just exactly the opposite. Now, I could do a 3-hour video on this, and I don't want to do that. But we're talking about the impact on the Christians there, and they really are the minority and the most abused. But this is a documented impact on Christians. While Israeli officials frame their actions as self-defense, Christian leaders in the region report direct targeting and systematic pressure. They're talking about violence and harassment. A 2025 report by the Rossing Center documented over 200 incidents of violence against Christians in Jerusalem and the West Bank, including spitting, physical assaults on the clergy, and the desecration of churches and graves. Global Christian leaders have denounced U.S.-funded Israeli bombs for destroying some of the world's oldest Christian communities in Gaza, leveling churches, schools, and hospitals. Now, they said that Hamas was hiding there. I wouldn't doubt it. But they're killing a lot of Christians. And not just in Gaza, guys, but in Israel, they're being persecuted. And again, they're being pushed into places like Gaza and the West Bank, where they can be attacked as terrorists. But they hate Christians. They're trying to completely wipe them off the map. They're also seizing the land of the Christians, guys. And they're saying in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, the Israeli government has been accused of backing settlers into the seizure. And Friar Abraham Faltus described as a dramatic threat to the future of Christianity in the Holy Land. They're aware of it there. It's been going on for a few years, but it really escalated since 2023. And mainstream will not mention it. Why? Who's in charge? The patriarchs there in January 2026, this year, the patriarchs and the head of the churches in Jerusalem issued a rare warning against Christian Zionist interference. And what he's talking about, he's saying these ideologies mislead the public and harm the unity of the local Christian community. Why? They're mixing Christian and Zionism together, but they're anti-Christian. And what that does is tie them together to where when you see that word and you don't go along with it, again, you're anti-Semitic and all of this, but it's a money influence thing. Guys, during just last year, I think it was, the Israelis set up what's called geofencing around major churches here in the U.S., Christian churches. And what they did was, by geofencing this group of people with their phones, those people were getting ads from Jerusalem about donating because it was a Christian cause, things like that. Now, guys, support for Israel is also eroding among younger American evangelicals. That's because they're getting letters and outcries from the Christians that are there, telling them the truth, what's going on the ground. And guys, you know some of this bombing going over into Lebanon and all, you know what is a lot of what's being hit? They're wiping out all the Christian churches. They want to wipe that off the face, just like Rome did after they killed Christ. But again, with many now viewing the continued attacks on Gaza as unjustified and feeling that the plight of Palestinian Christians has been ignored by their elders, all the Christians are being ignored, regardless, guys, if it's in Hamas, if it's in Jerusalem, if it's in the West Bank, they're being persecuted. If, say, for instance, again, they're down to 1.2% of the population. Muslims are around 19. But if you're a Christian in Israel, you cannot marry a Christian from outside. You have to leave the country to be with them. They don't want reproduction of Christians at the moment. They're trying to do just the opposite. And the patriarchs in the churches are saying they are begging for money from the U.S. and other places to help the Christians, but the Christians aren't getting any of it, according to the patriarchs. It's going to the political agendas of the unity of the flock. That's what they call it. And it ignores the suffering of the local Christians. They want it down from 1.2% now to 0%, guys, and they have fooled many people. I've never believed much of what they said there. But again, you're looking at the extermination of the Christian people that began in that area with the crucifixion of Christ. It hasn't stopped. They had to leave for a while, but now they're back. We know about that from the Albert Pike letter, and that it's to bring about a war, because it is no longer a Christian nation at 1.2%. And those are being persecuted. Again, when they attack other nations, they're attacking a lot of Christian churches and people, including, in the report, the Iranian churches. Anyway, guys, I don't know what's going to happen with our gas prices. Some of the damage done in the UAE will take years to change. How close are we to war? Because that's what it's going to lead to. And that conflict will be something the entire world will have to, we will all feel the impact in many different ways. But right now it's going to be an immediate impact on the economy. Just the gas prices alone does it. When you start talking about transportation of food, supplies, going back and forth of work, trains, fertilizer, the whole thing, it's on now and it's springtime. And what did we say not long ago in a video? All of the futures of March has already been put in place. In other words, all the oil that was ordered for this month's contracts had already been shipped, bought, shipped, paid for. Now April is coming due in 10 days, and they have nothing to show that for that period of time. And because of the force majeure contracts, they don't have to honor anything because of war. And guys, the Jewish government now is committing what the Christian institutions are currently calling a taxation assault by the Israeli government. Property foreclosures in early 2026. The Armenian Patriarch faced high-profile foreclosure proceedings over a land dispute that church leaders say threatens their 17-year-old history in the city. Unjustified taxation. Israeli authorities have begun freezing church bank accounts and demanding municipal taxes on properties that were historically exempt, such as pilgrim guest houses and schools. Local Christians again describe this as a war of attrition waged by extremist groups, and that's calling not only the economic pressures of taxation, but the systematic harassment and violence. And nothing happens when they do that. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, guys, the Jewish people spit on the Christians there and then vandalize the church. Think about that. And the Church of the Visitation. The major Christian sites are being attacked now. Satan is loose and running wild, and the people that keep paying for that, that's on you, my friends. But again, I wanted to point out, basically, our oil is rising very quickly. It's not a good sign. Be as conservative as you possibly can. And the other half of this was a report on the devil himself. It's a heads up, guys. Be safe.